Do you ever feel like you're not one of them? The old imposter syndrome. Maybe you've questioned whether you belong on certain stages or with certain audiences or in certain industries. Well, let me tell you something. Unity isn't about pretending that we're all the same. It's about discovering what we share, even when we're different. In this episode, we're exploring one of Robert Cialdini's most underrated but emotionally powerful principles of influence, the bonus principle in his revised book, Influence: The Psychology of Persuasion, unity. When it's used well, it connects us. And when it's abused, it divides us. And for speakers, it can be the difference between being heard and being remembered. So what is unity? Why does it even matter? Cialdini describes unity as shared identity. When people feel one of us with you, they become more open, trusting, and responsive. And it's more than liking or rapport. It taps into who we are, our essence, our values, our emotions. So unity can come from all these places: shared values, shared experiences, struggles, shared affiliations, culture, nationality, faith, generations. As a speaker, the more you can create the us feeling, the more powerful your impact is going to be. But here's the key. You don't need to be exactly like your audience. You just need to find where your experiences or values intersect. So let me share with you a little story for a client I was working with recently who said to me that he didn't belong in corporate. He actually said to me, I don't think I can speak to corporate audiences. I've never worked in that world, come from a completely different background. And I said, well, perfect. That actually might be your advantage. Why? Because he wasn't just another suit. He had outside insight. And when we reframed it, his difference was not so much of a gap as a gift. I showed him how to chunk up from specific industry examples and jargon to shared human experiences. So it might be, instead of saying sales teams, you might talk about people with goals. Instead of boardrooms, talk about places where decisions and doubt coexist. His message didn't need corporate polish. It just needed a bit more of a universal emotional core. And when you connect to that, everybody listens. Now, I've had the experience of being an outsider on the inside, and many times, a few recent examples over the past several years. One was being the only Gen X person in a startup mostly comprised of millennials. So different pace, different references, different expectations. But there was also a time when I was one of the only British people and the only openly atheist person, I think, in a mostly Christian American company. Now, whilst this is just a suspicion, I felt that these differences particularly may have played a big part when layoffs were coming up and the company was making cutbacks. So unity, or the lack of it, can be subtle, but it is real. And that's why I speak from experience. When people don't feel like you're one of us, they disconnect faster. But you don't need to fake belonging. You just need to create bridges. So how do speakers create unity ethically? And we're all about the ethics here. So how do we create unity on stage without pretending to be something we're not? So using we language over and over again, inclusive language, you or I, we, going to make a big difference. Share stories that tap into more universal values and emotions. So examples could be fear, joy, uncertainty, hope. We all have those experiences. Call out common experiences, even small ones. Anyone else ever forget what you're about to say on stage? Mirror the values of your audience, not their opinions. Show up early, stay late, connect personally. Here's a tip I shared earlier in this series. If you're speaking at a company, connect with some team members beforehand. Right? Get some insight into where you're going. If you don't have access to that immediately, ask for it. Ask to be able to be connected with a few people so you can get a bit of a sense of what's going on for them, and you can potentially then directly address what's going on for them and reference it so that they're going to feel that you really see them, that you're part of their team, even though you're not. For that time that you're on stage, you can be. So learn their names, mention them during your talk. People will feel seen and people will feel, all right, you are one of us. Bookers will see it as well. They'll see it in the feedback. They'll remember that you did this as well. Going that extra mile, being proactive, is always very noticeable. And keeping in contact with them with your CRM, even if there's no bookings coming up, even if you're not asking for a gig from them, maybe just reach out and say hi from time to time. Hey, remember that gig? Really appreciate you. Here's something I found that might actually be of interest to you and to your industry, and send that over to them. Stay in contact. Here's something I think is important, and we're going to talk about chunking up. And really, chunking up is about getting out of the specifics into the more general. So let's say your story is about launching a product that failed. You could chunk that up into a universal value. So it could be the courage to try something new, learning from failure and feeling exposed and vulnerable. Suddenly, it doesn't matter if your audience is made up of executives, teachers, or teenagers. They'll get it because you moved from the specific to the universal. Think of unity like a campfire. People don't gather around it because they all come from the same place. They gather because it's warm, it's welcoming, and it lights up what we all have in common. As a speaker, your job isn't to tell people where to sit, it's to keep the fire burning. Unity is a very powerful principle of influence, a weapon of influence. Cialdini does sometimes refer to these things as weapons of influence. Unity certainly can be used as a weapon as well. So it's very powerful, and like the campfire, it can burn you. History has shown us, and right now is showing us as well, that shared identities can be used to exclude, to dehumanize, to stigmatize, even incite violence against people who are not like us. From nationalism to cult behavior and beyond, we've seen it all too often. So always ask, is my use of unity bringing people together or pushing others out? Real leadership doesn't just rally the in-group, it welcomes the outliers. So here's your call as a speaker. Use unity not as a tool of sameness, but as a path to deeper shared meaning and connection. Find common values. Speak to shared humanity. Be the one who lights the campfire and says, come, sit with us. If you want more tools for ethical influence and presentation skills, check the links in the description for free speaker resources and trainings. And if this episode spoke to you specifically, please like, subscribe, and share it with the speaker. And if you haven't checked out the whole series of episodes so far, please do go and check them out. This is a whole playlist and mini course, really, about Robert Cialdini's influence principles specifically for professional speakers and communicators. So whilst this may be the end of Cialdini's influence series, there are many more elements of influence that we have to talk about and will be bringing up in future videos. So do stick around for those. All you need to be part of this in-crowd is an interest in speaking and presenting, professionally or otherwise, and a desire to operate ethically. And you are very welcome to join us. So until the next time we do connect, stay present, stay united, and stay influential.